This just arrived at my office. I took it out into the office yard to begin aerating the dead spots. It worked quite well. Some reviewers knock it because their plugs didn't immediately pop out of the top, but that was not a problem for me. I just kept plugging away, and the plugs eventually popped out the top. When you cut into a plug, it compresses inside the tube, so you will have more plugs going into the tube than coming out, but they do come out. By the way, I'm big but not enormous at 185 pounds, and it was easy to cut plugs in the yard. I learned to be sensitive to the sensation of hitting a rock underground so that I stop as soon as I feel one, and this will limit damage to the tool. I didn't give this 5 stars because the foot crossbar bent just a little bit, but it kept on working quite well, so I don't believe it is going to be a problem, but more use will show whether it is a flaw or not. I believe the crossbar bending will be limited because when the tubes become embedded in the soil, that should limit the amount of crossbar bending that can occur. If the bending does become a problem, I'll hire a welder to add the brace that could have been designed into the crossbar by the manufacturer. I wasn't up for spending the money on renting a gas-powered aerator, not to mention I would have had to wait for a couple weeks before one was available, so I opted for the yard Butler coring aerator after being unable to find one in my local hardware store. The tool worked great so long as mostly clay soil that I call my yard was well soaked, but had some difficulty when the soil was dry. To get maximum results, I would run the sprinklers for about 20 minutes, until I got standing water on top of the bare spots, and then let the water soak in. Anything less required pounding the spikes in with a dead blow. 3 weeks later, I can say that the results are dramatic. The patchy spots have almost entirely filled in and the already green areas are much fuller and lusher than they were previously. I attribute this purely to better water penetration and looser soil, as I did not add any fertilizer to the yard despite the recommendations. It took about 2 hours, including watering time, to do my 500 square foot yard that is laden with some nasty roots that a previous owner never removed. I found that with proper motivation, that dead blow again, the aerator would make nice round root cores in addition to the soil cores that I had left behind when done. While the results speak for themselves, the effort required to use this tool is not trivial for a moderate-sized yard. I found that the clay soil would become lodged in the spikes if it was too dry, which could be reduced if the spikes were slightly tapered. I am guessing that tapered spikes would probably drive the cost way up from what it is now. I also found that proper knee placement is essential to coming out of the yard bruise-free. I did not, but this is subject to the operator more than anything. Click link in description for more reviews.